Okay, so just back from a press screening at the BFI, right? Was able to check out the new film Starve Acre. This is from Daniel Kokotajlo, right? He wrote and directed. The film is produced by Emma Duffy, Juliet Howe, Tessa Ross, and Darren Scherlinger. It's executive produced by Eva Yates, Alison Thompson, Mark Gouda, Danny Cohen, and Len Blavanik. It is co-produced by Ross Williams and Harriet Spencer. Okay, Matthew Herbert was on music. Adam Scraff, cinematography. Brianna Rangot edits the piece. Shaheen Bag was down with the casting. Production design is Francesca Massaril. Art direction, we have Catherine Black and Amelia Lester Hinchcliffe. Camelia Hipwood is set decoration, and Emma Fryer was on costume design. Hair and makeup, we've got Zoe Davenport, Lisa Parkinson, and Joanne Tudor. All right, so the cast. Matt Smith is Richard. Juliet, his wife, is played by Morfydd Clark. They have a son, Owen, played by Arthur Shaw. Juliet, her sister, Harry. I'm assuming that's short for Harriet. Well, Harry is played by Erin Richards. Richard and Juliet have a neighbor, Gordon, played by Sean Gilder. Richard has a work colleague, Stephen, played by Robert Eames. There's Dr. Monk, played by Roger Barkley. Who else do we have? It's very like Mrs. Ford isn't listed, which is odd. A bit of an odd one there. Yeah, that's without Mrs. Ford, that's essentially our main group of people, I would say. The gist of the film is this, right? It's set in rural Yorkshire in the 1970s. The plot sees Richard and Julia Willoughby's seemingly idyllic family life thrown into turmoil when their young son Owen starts acting out of character. A sudden tragic event brings grief and drives a wedge between the once happy couple. At Starve their remote family home, academic archaeologist Richard buries himself in exploring a folkloric myth that the ancient oak tree that once stood on their land is imbued with phenomenal powers, while Juliet turns to the local community to find some kind of peace. Richard obsessively digs deeper. An unexpected discovery soon occupies the couple's attention, and dark and sinister forces unwittingly allowed into their home offer a disturbing possibility of reconnection between them. Ooh. Now, Daniel Kokotajlo has this to say: I'm a sucker for films that put a spell on you with their attitudes and strange sensibilities. English folk tales like Starve Acre give you an opportunity to do that. It's not just horror, it ends up in a weird off-kilter place. It can be uncomfortably quiet and sensitive. Then suddenly it slaps you in your face with its oddballness. That was the aim of this film, to create a mood of nervousness. Making an audience nervous results in a whole range of reactions: tears, screams, or giggles. It's my idea of cathartic fun. Acre also taps into a timeless fear that feels more relevant than ever. The idea that returning home to nature and regressing into childhood is a big mistake. The film removes the nostalgic rose-tinted glasses and shows us that there are dark things, long buried superstitions awaiting our return. Now, this is also based on a 2019 book by Andrew Michael Hurley of the same name, right? And yeah, Daniel was right. This is a fucking weird, disturbing film. Right? It is. Whew. Now, visually, definitely they have nailed the kind of feel of the 70s, right? It reminded me of the old BBC made for TV films that would be on at 5 p.m., right? You'd come home from school and there'd be this BBC film, and yeah, it was this certain look to them, this look and the feel, right? It looked different from, a big theatrical film. But yeah, this Acre has nailed that aesthetic, that kind of vibe. So that's great, right? That really works. And I think our cast is our cast is very good. Very good. It's interesting because I'm watching this and St. Maud jumped to mind, right? And yeah, Morfydd Clark, she starred in St. Maud and she stars in this with Matt Smith. And I mean, they do give a fantastic performances. They really do. I mean, all the main cast were great, really great. I mean, you're watching this and there's a lot of things going, like Owen, early on he has this dream. And, Juliet's like, "Are you okay?" And he's just like, "Oh, it's stopped now." And she's like, "What? The whispering?" Right? That wasn't really addressed, I will say. But it was just these unsettling things, and we get like close-ups of eyes. There was a lot of kind of the camera would kind of drift to the window, right? And you'd get this kind of change in tone and feel like, and then it would zoom, right? And you have a sense that, that we're zooming in on something that's significant. Now, I can't see that shit, right? When the people try and do smart things like that, I can't see it. You know what I mean? It is the problem of bad eyesight, people. So I don't know if there was something or if it's just a kind of like a mood situation. But I don't know. But there was a lot of that which you know, it I mean, you definitely have this kind of shift, this off kilter effect. But I will say that if you're relying on something to be seen, that could be problematic. Because you know what I mean? I'm not going to be the only person with fucked up eyesight, right? So I think you need something a little bit more than relying on those kind of tricks, as it were. Um, One thing that was really fucking irritating, the film opens to text on the screen. It is so small. Right? It baffles me when people do this shit. Because I'm just like, even someone with 2020, they're gonna be squinting trying to read this. And it's just there's so much real estate of screen. So, firstly, why the fuck are we using tiny writing? Make it bigger. Make it fucking bigger. Just have someone narrate it as well. Have a voiceover. I don't think it changes anything. You know what I mean? You could have had Owen do the voiceover, or Gordon, and like someone make it weird. Like, but have a voiceover. It is so frustrating. So I don't know what was said. I don't know if I missed anything. Yeah, it's just it's frustrating. Now, the rest of the film, right? There's I mean, there's a lot of things that go down. Now, I will say this big event that shifts the family, you kind of see it coming, right? It's not overly a surprise. And then there are things that happen, they're not as much a surprise. What, as a viewer, you're kind of more focused on the why, right? Oh, why is this happening? What the fuck is going down? What is this sinister force, right? How can it be stopped? Who let it in? What? That's the thing as a viewer. And a lot of it, you're like, oh shit, yeah, that's craziness. There are certain things that happen, right? Like even the reason of going to Starve Acre, when certain things come out, you do scratch your head and be like, I don't think anyone's going, right? Like if that is there, if this thing that we find out happens, no, you're not going, right? There's a lot of that. There's a lot of what? So I don't know if some of these things are given more clarity in the book, right? Because there are restrictions when you're making a film, budget and all of this. It's an hour and 30 minutes, right? So I'm sure there's parts of the book that they could not bring to fore. But I do wonder, like, some of the things rounded out a bit more, right? Given more body. So that makes so much sense, right? I get that. Because, yeah, I mean, Owen's got asthma. So you understand going to the countryside. But there are some other things where you'd be like, you wouldn't go to the fucking countryside. You know what I mean? So there's these weird things that are going down, right? And it's some actions of people, like why they may return, why they may want to do a seance, right? There's certain things that do happen where you are scratching your head and you're going, but why though? But why? Why would you do this? This is very weird. This is very odd. Like I get what Daniel wants to do, right? And I get that, yeah, it's creating a mood, making people uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable. There is an underlying vibe of nastiness, you know? There's just this thing here, right? This depravity. So I think tonally, this film works very well. I think story-wise, there are elements that could be clearer, right? And when I say clearer, I don't mean they should lay every little thing out, right? This has happened, blah, 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 blah. But it's just make certain rationale make sense. You know what I mean? Just that kind of thing, right? There is a bit towards the end with Juliet and a rabbit, which is bizarre and creepy. Right? I don't think anyone would be expecting this, right? I don't think anyone's looking to do this to their house rabbit. Yeah. So there's these unsettling things. And I think that works really well. And as I said, the performances are fantastic. Performances are great, you know? I think films that jump to mind, other than St. Maud, right? There was Shepherd, which also played at the London Film Festival, you know, where this had its world premiere. There was Lords of Misrule that we looked at on the pod too. So those kind of things jump to mind, like Infinity Pool. Now, it's not the same. Infinity Pool is completely different, but just on the vibe, right? The Infinity Pool's got that nasty, weird, off the center vibe to it, and that works. Things like St. Maud, Lord of Misrule, right? I think there was that film on Shudder, The Power, right? Those films, those fit this kind of weird folklore, kind of creepy aspect of things, as well as Dagger, right? The Hearts film. Yeah. So I think if you enjoy those films, I think Starve Acre will work for you. Now it is coming, right, to a cinema. Well, I say a cinema. I mean, it's definitely coming to the cinema, but it's the UK and Ireland. Now, there is worldwide distribution, but I don't have those dates. So it's the 6th of September for the UK and Ireland. Yeah, Cornerstone are handling the worldwide release, but unfortunately, I do not have that information. So I can't give you that. Oh, actually, I do believe. Well, I think the time this drops, it would have already played, because what I'm looking at on IMBD, it says the 26th of July in the States, right? Limited release in the States, 26th of July. So, yeah, I mean, it will already be out, right? Because as it's dropping in September in the UK and Ireland, yeah, that's when this will be hitting you. But yeah, that's the information I have. Again, if you enjoyed like Lord of Misrule, St. Maud, The Power, Dagger, I think you'll want to check out Starve Acre. If you enjoyed the book, right? Starve Acre. So yeah, people, creepy, it's weird, it's unsettling. It's Starve Acre.